Hello, everybody. And right now, I'd like to talk to you about Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, the online media presence that supports Donald Trump, the voters, the midterms, Ghislaine Maxwell, the whole shebang. Now, there's a lot of stupidity to break down, and I'm going to break it down for you right now. The Jeffrey Epstein case has become an identity marker for the right, and it has. He was he was found to have committed suicide during the Biden administration, but the tapes that have been released have been doctored. So although it's ruled a suicide as of right now, there's not enough evidence to actually suggest otherwise. Now that's a whole can of worms that I'm not going to get into. There's a lot of people that are out there that think that he was murdered and this, that, and the other thing, and I would not be surprised if that's the case. Because he literally pimped kids. And if people in power are going to absolutely engage in a relationship with a kid that way, those same people are absolutely willing to murder somebody to keep it quiet. So that's just my take on it, and that's usually the way it is. So, let's go to this identity marker thing. A lot of right-wingers have said, as far as saying they're not going to support Donald Trump anymore if he was on the Epstein list. On the Epstein list? Okay, here's the deal. On the list, even if Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell kept a list of all their clients and their names on it, why would you need a list? Donald Trump has literally been civilly found liable for sexual assault and defaming the same woman he sexually assaulted. He has also settled in court with about a handful of other women that claim that they were sexually assaulted when they were 12 or 13. Some of those women were trafficked by Maxwell and Epstein. I don't know why you need a list. There's literally people that were trafficked by the Epstein and Maxwell that have said that Donald Trump did what they did to him when they were 12 or 13. And they're still going, where's the list? I can't support Donald Trump if there's no list. So that's the problem with identity markers. When you have an identity marker and it's attached to something like a legal case, it comes unraveled. And the reason why is because from the outside looking in any case that involves a court of law, you may think you know every single thing about it. It may look completely like one thing happened, and then evidence gets presented and it changes everything. Well, if you're using it as an identity marker, a lot of times evidence won't change anything and you'll just go back to the same thing. Remember this YouTuber named Tim Dillon kept on railing about how he doesn't like Donald Trump because of his association with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, even though everything suggests that he is one of their clients. He said he was not going to support him. I know, a couple weeks later, he's back to supporting him. That's just one example. I'm not just picking on him because of how gross of a human he is. I'm just saying that's just how most of them are. A lot of them are just going to fall back in line. Now, here's the deal. Ghislaine Maxwell, as of filming right now, has been transferred to a minimum security prison and has work release. Really? She has work release. She trafficked and pimped out children. And she's transferred to a minimum security prison with work release. So she can actually leave prison as long as she has a job. Isn't that wonderful? Now, just ask yourself this. If somebody is not on the list, but there's women that he's settled out of court with say that he's assaulted them through Maxwell and through Epstein, but you're still asking for a list? Jeffrey Epstein was murdered before he could testify. That's not suspicious to you, but you still want a list? Ghislaine Maxwell was transferred and given work release to the DOJ while Donald Trump's president, but you're still looking for a list? Donald Trump's defense lawyer made the deal happen, but you still want a list. Here's the deal. I don't know if a list exists. I don't know if a list doesn't. But I do know this. Donald Trump was one of their clients. And even though it became this identity marker because Jeffrey Epstein was murdered under the Biden administration, and since it was just there to really, quote-unquote, own the libs, it doesn't look like it is going to own Biden because Biden is not one of their clients. So here's the deal. Will this disenfranchise some voters? Sure. Is it going to disenfranchise all of them? No, because all the information I mentioned earlier has not actually stopped his support. He settled out of court with 6 different women, About 5 of them were allegedly 12 and 13 when the assault took place, and they're still supporting him. Why would his name on a list stop that? And the answer is I don't think it will. So here's the thing. We see this stuff all the time. One of the traits of fascism, according to Umberto Eco, was action for action's sake. It's when somebody does it just so they could do it, just so they can go ahead and make a big statement and puff their chest out. At least that's part of it. That's a real layman's interpretation of it. Taking action for action's sake, releasing the list. Why do I say it's action for action's sake? Because the people that are demanding the release, not everybody, but a lot of people on the right demanding the release of the list, already have evidence that suggests that Donald Trump was their client. Why would they need the list? Action for action's sake. Another quality of fascism, rampant sexism. And part of that rampant sexism is actually cracking down on abortion and cracking down on LGBTQ plus rights. Now, you're literally trafficking mostly young women. They're doing it in a way that actually is gross. It's illegal and immoral. Someone's already gone to prison for it. One of them person that went to prison for it is dead, and the other one has just gotten pardoned for work release. And knowing all what I said, with all those women that have been settled with outside of court and have told the world literally their story, it did not stop him from getting elected and is not actually showing any cracks in his support. You know, this isn't really an LGBTQI plus thing, and it's not an abortion thing. I was just telling you what's also in there. But I will say this. The list might get a few voters to not show up in the midterms. But if the Democrats win the midterms and those libs are out there saying stuff on TV and having power, those same people are just going to vote for any idiot with an R next to their name in 2 years. So the bottom line is this, what I say over and over again. The Democratic Party has got to figure out a way to get people to come out and vote for them. Because what if I told you a guy who's been convicted, at least civilly liable for sexual assault, 6 women, inspired an insurrection, pardoned all the people that were convicted in that insurrection, gave work release to Ghislaine Maxwell, and then they still support him? So don't look at this moving the needle too much. And for all the adults that are actually listening to this, I'm sorry. I live in this country too. The people that support him are just a bunch of gross idiots, and we're going to have to deal with that. The only silver lining is when Trump came out and all the idiots started coming out, we get to see them for who they really are.